The Netsuke I am holding depicts the wind god Fūjin, sometimes also called Fūten, who along with the thunder god Heigan is likely one of the oldest gods of Japan. They embody poems which frightened people in Japan as well as the whole world. In the old texts dedicated to Japanese myths, we can already find descriptions of these gods. Fūjin would normally appear surrounded by thunderclouds, often carrying a large sack over his shoulders. In this sack, he would collect different breezes, storms, cyclones, and would release these winds, sending them down to earth. Here we see him appearing from a rising cumulus cloud in swirling wafts, leaning on these swirls with his elbows. He resembles a demon with his teeth bared and small horns. From paintings and descriptions in text, we know he has red hair and green skin, which we can only try to imagine here. He is scary and is meant to frighten people. He has command over the elements. The carver was able to stunningly convey the terrifying expression of the thunder god. The carver of this piece, Unjudu Shumemaru, is notable for the fact that his name appears in a book published in 1781 in Osaka by Inaba Tsuru. This is the first text to mention Netsuke carvers. The text was written by a merchant who sold decorations for swords. He sold tsuba, assembly elements for the hilt of the sword, as well as various sagemono, suspended items which included glasses cases, smoking kits, and accordingly Netsuke, which acted as a counterweight for all of these items. 6 of the 7 volumes of the book are dedicated to describing the tsuba, or handguards, and only the last volume is dedicated to the carvers of Kyoto and Osaka. It is a rare opportunity to learn even something about the people who were engaged in Netsuke carving at the time. Inaba draws attention to Shumemaru by placing him second among the 54 carvers mentioned in his book. As number 1, he names Yoshimaru Shuzan, another carver who worked and lived in Osaka, and who is, according to modern tradition, considered to be the founder of the Osaka school. The second was Shumemaru. According to Inaba, he lived and worked in Osaka. His real last name is not known. According to art tradition, it was customary to take on a creative pseudonym, something commonly seen among artists, calligraphers, and Netsuke carving. Shumemaru is his pseudonym, and his real name is unknown. Inaba mentions him being a Shinto priest. This is an important piece of information which characterizes the era in that, by the end of the 18th century, there were almost no professional carvers left. Many of the Netsuke carvers did it as a side activity, and often it was simply a hobby. According to his book, Netsuke carving attracted mask carvers, even dental technicians, and in this case a Shinto priest. He didn't work on the market and only made Netsuke at the request of people he knew. Inaba himself noted that few pieces of this master remained, precisely because he did it for himself and not for a living. Because of this, each piece in the collection is valuable for its uniqueness. What else can we learn from the text? It tells us how he worked with the kijiboru technique, meaning a simple technique of plain wood carving without decorations or staining. Our Netsuke is also made from wood without any traces of stains. However, the last sentence in Inaba's description seems to contradict his previous statement. Sometimes staining can be found in the fold of the clothes. Here there is no staining. We have studied the Netsuke and can see only the kijiboru technique. The Netsuke is rather big at over 9 centimeters. This size is characteristic for items at the end of the 18th century. When comparing pieces from the end of the 18th century and those of the 19th century, the difference in size is always easily noticed. Another feature of the earlier items is the cord hole on the back of the figure called himotoshi. Himo meaning cord, and toshi from the verb tosu, to thread. These holes are connected by a small channel and were used to pull a cord through and hide the knot in the bigger of the two holes. The hole where the knot would enter was always slightly bigger than the second, but for the earlier pieces this hole was characteristically bigger than was done in the 19th century. We can see this feature here. There is no reason to doubt the authenticity of our item, and we are proud to have such a rare piece in our collection. The items carved during this period give impressions of strength and power rather than grace and ease. These towering clouds lifting up the god were done with one masterful cut of the carver, which is evidence of the carver's great mastery of the technique. The composition was planned in advance, and he had no trouble bringing his drawing to life. This manner of carving supports the early origin of Netsuke. Analyzing features like this is always necessary when attributing Netsuke. We often acquire our Netsuke after seeing them in other collections, and we try to understand how true the attribution is, how expertly it was examined, how convincingly it was dated, and its authenticity was confirmed. The Netsuke is dated and attributed according to these terms.